¿Cómo están ustedes? Desde Puerto Rico, luego del evento, vamos a entrevistar a uno de los mejores criadores que hay en Estados Unidos. Ha sido ganador del Grand Champion, juez de IBC, ha pertenecido a la Junta de Jueces y ha ganado el Grand Champion sobre 15 veces en los Estados Unidos. Tiene una carrera como criador envidiable y es un modelo para todos nosotros. Así que ahora vamos a pasar a hacerle una serie de preguntas para ayudar a todos los entusiastas a que conozcan un poco de uno de los criadores más famosos de Estados Unidos. Your name?
Siegbert Illig.
What has been your specialties with Bettas?
My specialty is half moon Bettas, and I have iridescent, especially iridescent, turquoise, steel blues, and blue and royal blues.
Any preference among them?
Not really. I started with blues, and then I started breeding two lines: steel blues and turquoise, and I had two lines to show. And then I crossed them and I had blues, so I had three.
The three.
And introduced double tails, so I had double tails too.
So you have specialized in the same type of pigment, but two varieties, double tail and single tail half moon.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been in the hobby?
Since '91. That was the first I started with.
In 1991.
In 1991. Yeah.
So you have been in the IBC for quite a long time.
Yeah. I started '91. Yep.
And you have been, and those were your first years in IBC?
Yeah.
And
That's
what?
when I entered the IBC. Yeah.
Okay. And a question: why did you wanted to show Bettas and work into IBC?
I came from Germany and I raised Australian finches, and I looked for some to show, exhibit. So I seen an article from Gene Lucas.
Okay, and Gene Lucas. Mm-hmm.
And then I seen you can show Bettas, and that's how I started. And my first Bettas I bred, and I thought I tried a blue and a turquoise half moon, and showed it. I sent it to a show. He had to ship it, and I was surprised. It came back first place and second place.
Oh my God, that was great. You also have been involved with, and I think I do not think, I know that you have been recognized by the Grizzlies. Yeah. Can you talk something about the Grizzlies and your experience with it?
The Grizzly was a fish that was before already, but it came out of a broodstock from Peter Gettner, and I didn't know where to show them. So I showed them in variety, different colors. And they always get moved. They always get moved to pastel, but they are bad pastel. They never won at the show. And after that, I thought I want to give them a name. In the IBC, you have to show 2 years to get recognized for
the type.
So I started showing the Grizzly in color.
Okay.
And after 2 years, the IBC recognized the color, but I had to come up with a name. And so Dane Young and I, in that time, we won the judging board. We decided we named it Grizzly, like the pigeon, coming from the pigeon Grizzly. So that's what we named it, the Grizzly.
Okay. Because that pigment or that type is also shown. It's a phenotype in the pigeons. That's very interesting. It's very interesting what you said because, and we have talked about this before in Dallas, in the convention in Dallas, IBC convention with Melano.
Yeah.
With Melano, they don't get the recognition or they don't get acknowledged at the shows because of the type is different. It's different to compete within the region, the black.
Yeah.
And it also they are in a difficult situation to compete because they are not true bicolors.
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, but they always got fallen, so
They never
Really?
move to the group.
got moved to bicolor.
Exactly, bicolor. Never.
Bicolor, and there's two dark colors, so really the contrast wasn't there, so they couldn't win in bicolor either.
Correct. So they were always an underdog in both in the blacks and in the in. Did any discussions that you know if by any trying to give to the type more opportunity or change in a way the description that they had and the standard to make it to make the type to have better options.
Yes, that there's more iridescent allowed
Okay.
on the blacks, so it has a chance,
Okay.
a real chance.
Okay, so that happened. But also, I know that you raise placards. Why did you get into the placards, and what type of placards do you work?
I work
What pigment?
raised red placards. I'm sorry, red placards and pineapples.
And pineapple.
Yeah.
And you wrote the standard of the pineapple, I believe, or it was
I was working with it. Yeah. On the
okay,
standard.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the trade can also if the trade what I understand about the pineapple is basically the black pigment or the melanin is in the scale, in part of the scale of the fish,
Correct.
and then when you have a light body, it shows and it gives the appearance of pineapple.
Right.
Who came with that name?
I really don't know who came with the name pineapple because it looks like a pineapple.
Correct.
So I like the pineapple because it has the black railing around the three fins, and what looks really striking, the yellow fins and
Me
the
too.
black, and then the pineapple on
Yeah,
the
they
bottom.
are very unique, a very unique type of fish. Can you have the trait in other light body colors like orange and red?
I seen them already in orange
Okay.
and red, yeah.
But they don't
But
strike.
they don't look
strike
like a
pineapple.
Yeah.
They don't strike as much.
Yeah.
Correct.
The yellow is, I mean,
Is the best way
the
to
best
show
way.
it to show the trait.
Right.
And then how do you get involved with red placards?
I don't know. I seen them at the auction and
Okay.
and got involved in red. They were striking, and they were actually the first ones I had. They were so-called traditional reds.
Red placards, traditional red placards,
But
exactly.
they had a really nice color, and they
Yeah.
were one of the dark types. So they had more dark body
Dark
color.
underneath color.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if there is any preference between when you have the Cambodia and the dark pigment, how can you distinguish the phenotype of them or how they look when
Well-
you have a light and a dark layer over the red?
Well, the Cambodian type also, as flies, they actually have a light body, and they can actually change into red. But the dark ones, they have a dark body already when they're young.
And in terms of how they look, can you look at a Cambodia based red and look to a dark red red and said this is light this is light red and this is dark red. Do they have an expression?
Yeah.
How can you describe the distinction
Well, on the body color.
on the body color?
The body color. yeah.
Okay.
What's a big fault is on the dark reds. It's like there's a lot of black in it.
So because I have seen that on the reds that they have the dark body, sometimes you have areas or small areas that you see black
Yeah.
going through the red,
Right. Yeah.
and that is a fault.
Yeah, it's a fault. Yeah.
But that can happen. But with the Cambodia, that's not going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen. But a fault on Cambodians is they usually have sometimes light head.
Light head, exactly, especially the area of the mouth
Yeah.
and the eyes.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. You also have marbles. How the marble? You came with the marbles.
I came with the marbles. They came out of my iridescent. Breeders before me were breeding marbles into the iridescent, and they tried to select them. Didn't never use marbles again, but you never lose the marble gene.
So when you have the marble gene, it's going to be forever.
Yeah, I can have a spawn that has one marble in it, or I have a spawn that has maybe 3 marbles in it. And sometimes I have a spawn that has no marble.
No marble, exactly. So it's something that you can control.
Yeah, you can
in the genetics, and you can control selecting the parents.
No,
It's impossible.
Marble is a gene you can't get rid of.
Exactly. I have seen some of the. I have had some of the. I don't know if this have happened to you before, but some of my iridescents, they begin marbling, and then they entirely become white with some small speckles of iridescents or other color.
I had a turquoise male that won first place at a show at a convention, and on the way home, it changed. It started getting like white.
White, exactly.
Yeah, and they can get white and go back to the dark color again.
So they can change back again to the. So they can be covered 1 year white, and then next year they can cover again to the turquoise over it. So you haven't had that.
Yeah.
Wow. And any particular age that begins, or that's also something that it's not controlled. It's controlled randomly. It can be when they're young, 2 months, 3 months, 7 months, anytime. It can happen anytime.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, like I said, I showed that fish as a solid fish, and it wasn't really a solid fish.
Exactly. So you have to change it at the show.
Yeah.
You have to change the position of the show.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What other projects? Do you have any other new projects?
Right now, no. Right now, I don't have any new project. Well, I want to get my Grizzly line because I totally lost it.
Okay.
The Grizzly line, I want to establish that again.
So
And I tried to establish it with my iridescent color. Because I found out that when you cross Grizzly to solids, you get with the pheno Grizzly.
okay. So the grizzles, you can have large areas of grizzle and small areas of grizzle.
Yeah.
So it's also a random allocation of that.
The best Grizzly is when the black is distributed over
In the area, so you have random distribution.
When it gets too much, it's basically a fake fall.
It's a fault.
Okay.
And with grizzles, by your experience, the base is a pastel or opaque?
A pastel.
A pastel. Why do you think it's a pastel? By your experience.
Because of the opaque. When you use opaque, it usually the opaque starts on the head, and then it gradually covers the body. So actually, the outer layer of the opaque will basically cover the grizzly pattern.
So it will shade out the opaque trait.
Yeah.
If you have, the grizzle trait.
Yeah.
If you have opaque.
Yeah. I seen already opaque. The grizzly they had opaque, but they had on the head only.
Okay.
So, but eventually that would have went all over the body.
All over again.
Yeah.
So it's similar to, in a way, similar to a marble. In a way.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah.
In a way. Very interesting.
Muchas gracias.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It's amazing talking about Bettas with you, with your experience and the history that you have. I always have a question that for me amazes me and is very interesting because with time I am seeing less blackhead.
Yeah.
Blackheads, iridescent blues. What do you think is happening, and how can you describe, or can you have an explanation on the cover of the blackhead versus the complete iridescence on the body?
Well, with the introducing of the metallic, the blackhead basically disappeared, and you have really. I'm not saying they will disappearing. I still have blackheads, and I try to keep the blackheads, but I think Yeah, it's hard to get when you need new blood,
Okay.
new genes. It's hard to get a blackhead. So
So what you're saying is that the introduction of the metallic has reduced the full gene in the domestic species of the blackhead because they have been introducing metallic. And I understand the metallic scale has a different type of exposure to the lumen of the light, and is different.
Yeah.
And also that the scale is larger, and that's why it extends more over the
Over
body.
the whole
So
body,
that
yeah.
limits the expression of the black.
yeah,
And then it's more difficult then to get back
get back
to get
the
that
black.
back trait.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting. And
It's
amazing.
hard to get out. I mean, when you go as a metallic in, it's hard to get a full mass.
Full mask, correct.
It's hard to get that out.
That out again.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sid. It has been a pleasure.